Across Europe, a once taboo conversation is back: the role of nuclear weapons in the continent's security. The catalyst? French President Emmanuel Macron's call to discuss how France's nuclear arsenal could contribute to Europe's collective defense. Russia's invasion of Ukraine and its nuclear threats have shattered old assumptions, forcing Europe to rethink its security. While NATO and the US nuclear umbrella remain central, Macron's initiative signals a shift toward European strategic autonomy. He's not offering to share control, but to open a dialogue about how France's deterrent fits into a broader European security framework. This debate could redefine Europe's relationship with the US, NATO, and its own future as a security actor. France's nuclear force, known as the Force de Frappe, emerged from a deep desire for national independence and self-determination in the aftermath of World War II. The devastation of the war and the experience of occupation convinced French leaders that true sovereignty required the ultimate guarantee: a nuclear deterrent under their own control. Charles de Gaulle, in particular, championed this vision, believing that France should never again be at the mercy of foreign powers or alliances for its security. Unlike the United Kingdom, whose nuclear arsenal is closely tied to the United States, France's nuclear weapons are under exclusive national command. This independence is central to French defense policy. The Force de Frappe is designed to deter any major threat to France's vital interests, making it clear that any adversary contemplating aggression would face unacceptable consequences. France's nuclear deterrent is built on a dual structure: submarine-launched ballistic missiles and air-launched cruise missiles. This combination ensures a credible second strike capability, meaning that even if France were attacked, it could still respond with overwhelming force. The constant patrols of its submarines and the readiness of its air force make the deterrent both flexible and resilient. Over the decades, France's nuclear doctrine has gradually evolved. While originally focused solely on national survival, French leaders have increasingly hinted that the country's vital interests might extend beyond its borders, potentially including the security of Europe as a whole. President Emmanuel Macron's recent statements have made this European dimension more explicit than ever before. By suggesting that France's nuclear umbrella could help protect the continent, he has sparked a new debate about the future of European defense and the role of France's arsenal within it. Today, the Force de Frappe remains a powerful symbol of French sovereignty and independence. Yet, as Europe faces new and complex security challenges, its role is evolving. France is increasingly positioning itself as both a national and a European power, ready to defend not just its own territory, but potentially that of its neighbors as well. In this new era, France seeks to balance its proud tradition of independence with a growing recognition that its fate is closely tied to the security and stability of the entire European continent. The Force de Frappe, once a purely national project, now stands at the crossroads of national sovereignty and collective European defense. Russia's 2022 invasion of Ukraine shattered Europe's post-Cold War complacency. Defense budgets are rising, and countries like Germany and Poland are rapidly modernizing their militaries. Russia's nuclear threats have made deterrence a pressing, not theoretical issue. For Eastern Europe, the US guarantee is irreplaceable. For the West, the war is a wake-up call. The conflict has forced Europe to take its own defense seriously and to reconsider the role of nuclear weapons. Macron's initiative lands in a Europe more aware of its vulnerabilities and more willing to talk about nuclear deterrence. President Emmanuel Macron has been a vocal advocate for what he calls strategic autonomy in Europe. This concept isn't about Europe turning its back on NATO or the transatlantic alliance, but rather about ensuring that Europe can act independently and decisively when its own interests are at stake. Macron envisions a Europe that is capable of making its own security decisions, especially in times of crisis, without always relying on outside powers. Central to this vision is Macron's proposal for a structured dialogue on the role of France's nuclear deterrent in supporting European security. He suggests that France's nuclear capabilities, long seen as a national asset, could serve as a pillar for the broader security of the continent, provided there is open and honest discussion among European partners. Importantly, this is not about nuclear sharing in the traditional sense. France will retain sole control over its arsenal. Instead, Macron is inviting other European nations to participate in building a shared strategic culture, where the risks and responsibilities of deterrence are better understood across the continent. The ultimate goal is to align European thinking on deterrence, making it clear that France's nuclear arsenal is not just a shield for France alone, but a protective force for all of Europe. This would help reassure European allies and strengthen the continent's collective security posture. The dialogue Macron proposes is designed to reinforce deterrence and foster a deeper sense of European unity. It's not about creating a red button in Brussels or centralizing nuclear command, but about building trust and understanding among European nations. The emphasis is on mutual understanding, transparency, and the development of a common strategic language, rather than on sharing direct command or control over nuclear weapons. By bringing the topic of nuclear deterrence into the open, Macron hopes to encourage Europe to mature as a strategic actor, capable of facing the realities of global security challenges together. For Macron, the process of dialogue is as significant as any concrete outcome. It pushes the European Union to confront difficult questions about its own security, resilience, and future role on the world stage. Ultimately, this marks a profound shift from thinking about security as a purely national concern to embracing a truly continental approach, one where Europe takes collective responsibility for its ultimate security guarantees. Macron's proposal has split Europe. Supporters see it as overdue. Europe must prepare for uncertainty in U.S. commitments and build its own resilience. They argue a nuclear dialogue would strengthen NATO's European pillar and foster unity. Critics fear it could undermine NATO, alienate the U.S., and divide Europe. Eastern Europeans worry it signals a weakening of the American guarantee. Neutral states fear a more militarized EU. Some warn of a two-tiered Europe, with only some nations involved in nuclear discussions. The debate is as much about political identity as security. Should Europe take more responsibility or stick to the status quo? For now, the conversation is symbolic, but its implications are real. European capitals see Macron's proposal through different lenses. Germany is cautious, committed to NATO but open to dialogue, wary of domestic and alliance implications. Eastern Europe, especially Poland and the Baltics, insists the US guarantee is irreplaceable and views French ideas skeptically. Neutral countries like Austria and Ireland are deeply uneasy, fearing a shift away from the EU's peace identity. Italy and Spain are pragmatic, supporting stronger European defense, but not at the expense of transatlantic unity. These nations may act as bridge builders, seeking consensus. The diversity of views reflects Europe's varied histories and threat perceptions. Any nuclear dialogue must accommodate this complexity to succeed. Macron's initiative has broken a long-standing taboo, bringing nuclear deterrence into mainstream European debate. For years, nuclear policy was left to experts. Now, leaders in the public must confront its realities. Open discussion can demystify deterrence, counter misinformation, and foster informed public support. It's a sign of Europe's evolving identity, from a peace project to a geopolitical actor. The EU must now balance its founding ideals with the hard realities of security. This debate is part of Europe's transformation, forcing it to grapple with new responsibilities. The conversation is uncomfortable, but necessary for a continent facing renewed threats. Europe's ongoing nuclear debate is not just a regional issue. It has far-reaching global consequences, especially when it comes to the future of NATO and the delicate balance of arms control. As European nations reconsider their security strategies, the world is watching closely, aware that any shift in Europe's nuclear posture could send ripples across the international stage. A stronger, more independent European deterrent could potentially bolster NATO's collective defense, reassuring member states and deterring potential adversaries. However, this move also carries risks. It could create divisions within the alliance if it's perceived as Europe competing with, rather than cooperating with, the United States. The unity of NATO has always been its greatest strength, and any sign of discord could weaken its deterrence. The real challenge for European leaders is to frame this evolving dialogue as a way to complement, not replace, the vital transatlantic bond. By emphasizing partnership and shared responsibility, Europe can strengthen its role within NATO while maintaining trust with the US. Meanwhile, arms control negotiations are likely to become even more complicated. Russia has already signaled that it will demand the inclusion of French and British nuclear arsenals in any future talks, adding new layers of complexity to already challenging discussions. Some fear that these new demands could stall progress on disarmament, making it harder to reach meaningful agreements. Yet others argue that a united and assertive Europe could actually negotiate from a position of strength, pushing for more comprehensive and effective arms control measures. Ultimately, the outcome will depend on whether Europe can present a clear, unified, and defensive vision for its security, or whether it will fall into internal division and ambiguity, undermining its influence on the world stage. How this debate is managed will shape not only the future of Europe's security architecture, but also the broader global balance of power for years to come. The stakes are high, and the world is watching. The choices Europe makes today will echo far beyond its borders, influencing international stability and the prospects for peace in an increasingly uncertain world. Europe stands at a crossroads, facing both internal and external challenges. The nuclear debate is about more than weapons. It's about Europe's future as a united, responsible actor. Macron's proposal is a call for dialogue, not a break with alliances. The process itself may be the most valuable outcome, pushing Europe to mature strategically. Success depends on managing tensions, reassuring Atlanticist allies, respecting neutral states, and fostering unity. The goal of flexible, resilient security framework that accommodates diversity but presents a united front. Europe must balance autonomy with interdependence in a dangerous world. How it navigates this debate will shape not only its own security, but the stability of the international system.